What's up, guys? Just came off a fun weekend. EBI 9, the light heavyweights down in Los Angeles. It was a really cool production. My first time participating in the EBI 80 Bravo Invitational Series, and it was amazing. As a competitor, I uh, I took I won my first match. And then in my second match I lost. My first match was against a person named Jason. He was from Idaho, and the way the EBI structures works, it's a submission only, no points. Heel hooks, knee reaping, pretty much anything goes. Our match itself wasn't too exciting, I don't think. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet, but basically Jason, we were kind of fighting it out on the ground and on our feet a little bit, but then he went into this I don't know what you call the position, just where he kind of laid down on his side and invited me to come up on top. But anytime somebody has their hands like this, or their hands are locked, you could call it anti-jiu-jitsu, you could call it stalling. To me, it was a really boring match. There wasn't much that I could do, and there wasn't really any point in me doing much, because he's not exposing himself. There's no engaging action by the other person. So, and just try and submit anybody that has their hands here. It's really difficult to do, and it's actually more draining for the person on top. I kind of threw up my hands and just let the time tick down. The way the EBI format works is you go into these overtime rounds. If you think of it as like baseball, there's kind of the top of the inning and the bottom of the inning, and each person gets to choose either to start with the back position, where they have a seatbelt grip over the shoulder and under the arm, with their feet inside the legs, or what people call the spider web, basically an arm bar, where either arm holding their arm with the legs over the body. And if you escape the position, the other person will go on the bottom of the inning, and if that person escapes, they'll keep going. If there's no submission, they'll go for 3 innings or 3 rounds each, and whoever has the most riding time at the end of those 3 rounds is declared the winner. But if there is a submission in any of those rounds, you have to, then the other person has to come back with the submission. Something that I didn't know, that I found out in the rules meeting, and this ended up affecting me a little bit, but is if there is a submission in the first inning, right, so the top of the first, or in the top round, then in the second inning you have to get a submission. So what that means is, and you have to get that submission in less time. So if somebody gets a submission in 15 seconds in the top round, then you have to get a submission within 15 seconds to win the match. If that second round, or the bottom of that first round, goes more than 15 seconds, you essentially lost. So there's kind of a sense of urgency to get the submission within an amount of time that the first person was able to. And in my match with Jason, neither one of us got the submission in the first. I think he chose did I start with his back? Yeah, I started with his back in the first inning, and then he took my back. I escaped pretty quickly. The second inning, I got the submission. No, you know what? He must have chosen my back first. So he chose my back, and then I chose his back. Neither one of us got the submission in the first inning. He chose my back. I escaped again, and then I chose his back, and I was able to get a submission. I got the famous twister, named from Eddie Bravo. And that was pretty exciting. And then in the second round, I went up against a person named Vinny Magalhaes, who's a seasoned veteran. We ran out the clock in the 10-minute match. I didn't get to see the match. I felt like it was a pretty exciting match. We kind of went back and forth, both competitors on top, both attacking. I thought it was a fun match. And let's see, I won the coin toss. I chose to defend, and he chose the armbar. He got the armbar really quickly. It was kind of I don't know if it was conscious or it was like an intentional setup, but it felt like I was, I had my arm defended here. Let's see, no. Yeah, I was defending it here, and he kind of let my head kind of slide out, and I screwed up. I thought I was going to get my arm through and hip escape out right away. Instead, I should have really like brought my head over his leg and just pushed my shoulders up and over his leg instead. Because he was kind of exposing me, and I noticed him playing that strategy where he's kind of letting the person's head go through, and then right when they kind of unlock to escape, he'd finish the armbar. I noticed him doing that later, so I think it might have been like a strategic setup on his part. But he got me with that armbar in like 16 or 17 seconds. It was really quick, and so I had to, in the bottom of the first round, come back with a submission within that time. I wasn't able to get the submission in that time, so I ended up losing the match. But I felt pretty good, kind of going back and forth within the match. So yeah, and Vinny is one of the best in the game. So to be able to play a game with him was encouraging for me. And again, it was disappointing to lose, but the tournament, as far as like my performance went, I felt like I was able to put on a good show. I was able to put forth my best self. Leading up to the tournament, I felt like the organization of the tournament was incredible. It was very well organized. Usually the day of, organizers are kind of panicking. They're a little bit stressed. They're freaking out about some things. You didn't sense Victor and Eddie and just people that were running the tournament were very calm. They were casual, always had a smile on their face. It was very professionally run, and again, like, I had a fun time being there. During the let's see, how did it work? So they paid for they paid for the competitors to get to the venue. They put us up in a hotel. Everything was taken care of, and we didn't have to worry about anything. So that was really nice. Let's see. Sunday morning, we met at 9 a.m. in the lobby. We signed some paperwork, and then we went to weigh-ins. We had weigh-ins. We made 205 that morning, and then back we met again at the theater, Orpheum Theater in downtown Los Angeles, at around, I want to say, 3 o'clock. And then we had a rules meeting. Then we did some more photos, did a like a mock weigh-in, and then Eddie went over the rules with Victor, and it was a really interesting kind of a discussion. We just went over the basic rules that were important for the competitors to know. We went over the overtime because that's where things were won or lost, and Eddie made it a good point. He made a really good point. Matches are won in the overtime rounds. Baseball matches, baseball games, football games, the overtime rounds secure the victor. So it was good that we went over that, and he was engaging the coaches and the competitors in making the rules better. He would talk about stalling. We talked about stalling. We talked about penalizing the competitors for certain behavior. It was good. It was a really good. Just kind of rules meeting, and then from then on we broke out. We had time to ourselves, and the event itself started at 6 o'clock. So we had our rules meeting. in one area of the theater, and then behind the stages, actually underneath the stage, we had a kind of a warm-up area with mats, refreshments, kind of a lounge. The coaches and the athletes could just kind of hang out and be themselves. And it was very well organized for us to come up to the stage the match before we were on stage, getting ready to step on the mat. I didn't really enjoy that part, that we had to kind of wait on the stage, but I guess it made the production smooth and work a lot easier. So yeah, and that was the night. Let's see. I think so. I've been in a few like professional setting matches, and this was by far one of the most organized, best executed, type professional event. The UFC Fight Pass being involved, I'm sure, had a lot to do with that organization. And the production value was just phenomenal. But I could tell, I felt like it was more of a live stream event. There was a lot more production value and time invested in the live streaming as opposed to the actual live show or live performance. So what I mean by that is, there's a bunch of planes flying in formation above. Anyways, what I mean by that is, I'll show you guys. You see that? You don't see that very often. Anyways, what I mean by that, I'll let them pass. The fight to win. I've been on a fight. I had a fight to win. I was on a fight to win pro card in San Francisco this summer, actually, and it was definitely a live event. It was like it was as though you were in a concert, but a concert of jiu-jitsu competitors. Whereas the EBI event felt like it was more for the live stream, and for people that were watching from the live stream, and not so much, the kind of excitement and hype of the live or like the actual setting itself. So that was different. And as a competitor, that live concert event setting can make you your adrenaline dump is much higher, and the atmosphere is just whole lot crazier. But at this one, things were a lot calmer. There wasn't really it was cool having Bruce Buffer there, and he was making the announcements and calling out people's names, but and the victories. But still, it was still a very relatively calm event compared to that Fight to Win Pro. So that was a little bit different. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really well organized tournament. Very professional staff. Everyone was super friendly, super professional. The athletes were taken care of. We had plenty of notice of what was going on, and it was a professional jiu-jitsu event. If you get a chance, go on the UFC Fight Pass, check it out. I think it's going to continue to build from one event to the next event, and it's just going to get better and better with each production. I'm looking forward to watching the lighter weights this December. There should be some really good matches, and I think I also think that it's good to have a professional outlet for jiu-jitsu competitors, but I also think just having a no points, submission only type of format too. I think the rules could be tweaked a little bit to make sure that the 10-minute rounds are more exciting, because it seems like there's competitors that are, even though there's incentive to finish the match in 10 minutes, because that's how you get money, right? So if you don't get a submission each match, so there's 4 matches that you would have, and to win any money, you have to win the tournament. if you in each of those matches, you're able to get $5,000. So if you get a submission in the 10-minute round, then you like put $5,000 in a bank, right? And if you're able to get a submission in the 10-minute rounds for 4 rounds, then you get $20,000. But if, let's say, your first match you win in the 10-minute, you get a submission in the 10-minute round, you get $5,000. Second match goes to overtime, you win, but that means once it goes to overtime, you're ineligible for winning any money from that fight. And then your third round, let's say you win it in a 10-minute regulation, that's another $5,000. So now you're able to win $10,000. The finals, it's a close match, it goes to overtime, and you don't win in the 10-minute round, but you win in the overtime. That means you won $10,000 from the tournament. Still a lot of money, but right now it seems like the incentive to win is only on the money, and I feel like there should be some type of something else that's motivating the athletes to have to compete. So, for example, in my first match, I felt like I was being met by anti-jiu-jitsu, and I wasn't able to get a submission, not because I wasn't trying, but because my partner wasn't engaging in the match. It was you could stall out for the 10 minutes, take it into overtime, and essentially you could win your 4 matches all in overtime and win no money, but still be the crown holder, or the belt holder of the light heavyweight. So I think there's a little bit of kinks there that needs to be worked out. Maybe some kind of like penalizing the competitors if they're not engaging in the fight, or if they're stalling, or some kind of passivity. I don't know how that's going to influence the win. Maybe like you have 30 seconds to attack from the back, or the spider web position or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. That could be an interesting addition to the rule. But having to start a submission, or start from a submission position, definitely changes the game. It makes for a really exciting highlight reel, because people are either escaping or they're either finishing every match, and that's always exciting to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more EBI stuff. I think it's going to be a really interesting game of and a really good addition to professional jiu-jitsu all around. If you guys have any questions or comments, please comment below. I'd love to hear your insight on EBI 9 and just the whole EBI format. Keep you guys in touch. See you guys on the mat.